Hi, everyone. Welcome to SFNC 2020. I'm Daria Zabalina, an assistant professor at the University of Arkansas in the US. As co-chairs of this year's SFNC Conference Organizing Committee, Yoed, Kenneth, and I are delighted to welcome you to the conference. Although we miss seeing you all in person in Boston in March of this year, I'm excited to welcome you all to what promises to be an excellent virtual event.
Hi, everybody. My name is Yoed Kenneth. I'm an assistant professor at the Technion in Israel. We're both extremely excited to have this finally happening. We have more than 90 talks, the biggest conference ever. Just to say that the most updated version of the program is up, so please be aware of that. And we really wanted to thank everybody for being here and presenting. And now to give the opening remarks and SFNC update of SFNC.
Hi, so I need to share my screen real quick. Let me do that. Okay. All right. And okay. All right. Well, thanks, Yoed. Thanks, Dasha. Hi, everyone. And on behalf of those guys and the rest of the SFNC Organizing Committee, as well as the SFNC Executive Committee, the Advisory Board, and the Digital Curation Board, welcome to SFNC 2020. This is our first time meeting online. It's been a year where a lot of people have done a lot of things for the first time, and maybe not so surprisingly, being pushed out of our usual pattern and not having that sort of familiar venue to rely on, and really having no choice but to build something new hasn't been such a terrible thing for creativity. And we're excited to welcome you to this online meeting space that the SFNC team has created for this year's conference and for our time together over the next couple of days. And as Dasha said, we certainly do look forward to the time that we can all come together again and meet in person once again. But until then, maybe being able to come to a conference in your pajamas isn't such a terrible thing either. And it's really wonderful to see that the attendance for this year has more than doubled the attendance from last year in San Francisco. We love that venue. We love the conservatory, but it has a maximum occupancy limit. And that means we have to cap our registration. And it's really nice this year not to have to do that. And a lot has happened since last year in San Francisco. It's been an exciting year at SFNC. So I wanted to give some quick updates on several SFNC initiatives and events, including some projects that are ongoing or really just getting started that you might want to get involved in. I'm going to try to get through a fair bit, so sorry if I start talking kind of fast. But you can find out more about these projects in the projects and announcements room over in Gather.town. And you'll also find other cool stuff over there, like job openings and new books, and even more cool stuff than that. So go check it out. And for those who haven't yet played around in Gather.town or hung out over there, I'll tell you how to get there. You probably see that button at the bottom of your screen. And you definitely need to go check it out. If you remember the video game Zelda, you can kind of think of it as all the fun of playing Zelda, with way more neuroscience. So you'll learn something, but definitely worth the visit. And one of the cool things that you'll find over there is the special issue of NeuroImage that SFNC developed and guest edited this year. Many of you probably will be able to find your own papers there. Some of the papers are hot off the presses, with some of the acceptances having happened in just the last couple of weeks. This was an incredibly encouraging project to be part of, because we received far more submissions to the special issue than we had anticipated. And it wasn't just the volume, but the incredible high quality of the submissions that we received that was just amazingly encouraging about the state of our field, about the strength of creativity neuroscience and kind of the maturation of our field. It also made for some really difficult editorial decisions, a good problem to have, but a difficult problem nonetheless. And after some really excruciating, ruthless editorial decision-making, there are 41 papers accepted in the special issue. And you'll see some metrics and graphics on those papers over in the projects and announcements room. And those graphics really kind of nicely reflect the current trends and some emerging directions in our field, and also illustrate the range of methods and the geographical diversity of creativity neuroscience. So it's definitely worth a look. So you can check out those graphics. You can also head over to the library space, which we're calling the special issue room in Gather.town, where all of the accepted papers are fully explorable. You can quite literally or quite virtually as an avatar, walk right through the special issue and explore each of the papers and really get a sense for kind of the state of the field. So I definitely encourage you to take a stroll through. Another project I want to tell you about, another thing you'll find over in the projects and announcements room, is what we're calling the SfNC Ontology Project. And this is kind of a really broad initiative that's very much ongoing and in some ways just getting started. And the idea that's driving this is that in order to do what I think a lot of us want to do, which is to advance a more rigorous understanding of creativity in the mind and brain, in order for us to ensure that the work that's happening in one lab is informing the work that's happening in the other lab so we can achieve that kind of force multiplier effect, a real priority is for creativity research to establish a shared vocabulary. So it's really important for us to develop greater precision and consistency in the terms we use for the constructs we study. And most importantly of all, probably greater consistency and precision in the tasks we use to measure those constructs. So that's the broad idea behind the Ontology Project. There are several specific approaches we're taking. You can find out more about those in the projects and announcements room. But really, again, we kind of view this as a long-term initiative with lots of potential future directions and lots of ways also for the SFNC community to get involved. And in fact, the first published work from the Ontology Project, which takes a meta-analytic brain-based approach to matching sets of cognitive measures with sets of constructs based on a neural dissimilarity space, is largely based on similarity ratings of creativity constructs that you guys provided last year at SFNC 2019, also along with some data that we collected from APA Division 10. So a big thanks again to all of you who filled out the Ontology survey. And if you haven't yet had a chance to fill it out, you can see the QR code right here on this slide. You can also find that in your program if you want to contribute your thoughts on creativity. Another cool thing that happened this year was the SFNC Creativity Masterclass, our first masterclass. And this was something that developed in partnership with the ICM in Paris and largely with the leadership of Emmanuel Vol on the SFNC Executive Committee. And this was a really fun couple of days in Paris, getting to share some insights from creativity neuroscience with a wide range of attendees from industry and also education. And the masterclass program is something we are planning to continue once these kinds of in-person things are doable again. And it's part of SFNC's broader mission of communicating creativity research, not just to each other, but in ways that make creativity research useful outside the lab. And especially connecting creativity researchers directly with educators. And actually related to our education-focused goals, and especially to strengthening connections with educators, it's exciting that several initiatives directed at racial equity and inclusivity are taking shape, and some projects that were already underway in this area are picking up steam. And these are largely related to something that's really foundational to SFNC, which is the idea that creativity, probably more than any other ability that the brain has, is going to be determining opportunity and success in both academic and professional settings in the decades ahead and as we fully enter the innovation economy. So to the extent that creativity is going to be determining opportunity, equity of opportunity is really going to depend on equity of access to education that fosters creativity. And that's really the main idea that's driving a project that members of SFNC leadership have developed in collaboration with Marielle Hardiman at Johns Hopkins. And we're partnering with a group of primarily Black elementary and middle school teachers in Baltimore who teach primarily Black students. And the goal is to develop classroom-based measures of creative thinking and especially scientific creativity. And one of the things we've learned is that it turns out there's not a great measure out there for doing this, not a great measure for determining how well a classroom curriculum fosters creativity. So if we want schools to teach creativity, the first thing we need to do is create a way of measuring which curricula are most effective at doing that. And that's kind of a broader need for education and for teaching creativity in general. But specifically with equity and inclusivity as a goal, we think if you're going to develop these measures, it makes a lot of sense to start that process in the classrooms where underrepresented minority students are learning, and directly in partnership with the teachers in those classrooms, and really focusing on the elements of creativity that are relevant to those teachers' pedagogical goals, and also really constraining what you do based on what those teachers think is really usable in their classroom. Because it's fine and well to develop a measure that has a lot of nice psychometric properties, but if teachers can't use it in the real world of their classroom, it doesn't have a lot of real impact. And so this project, which is funded by NSF, is moving forward in a number of ways, and we're about a year in, and we're excited about the project and the progress we've made so far, and we're looking forward to making more progress, especially as the COVID-related restrictions end, hopefully, and we're able to get back into classrooms. Another education-related initiative that's in somewhat earlier stages is working toward the goal of expanding the consideration of diverse creative abilities in college admissions. So kind of coming back again to the idea that creativity is going to be an important determinant of opportunity in the decades ahead. If colleges really want to admit students that are likely to succeed, one of the things that's going to matter a lot is are good ways of measuring and sort of taking creativity seriously in the admissions process. And likewise, moving toward measurements of diverse creative abilities has substantial promise to help reduce some of the inequalities of opportunity that are associated with some traditional measures used for college admissions. And one of the really cool things about this project is that it was sparked actually by the SFNC Educators Workshop that some of you guys probably remember we did last year.
Because now
Oh, sorry, I think I heard Dasha for a moment. Dasha was there at the education workshop. And what we did there, so that was another NSF funded project. And what we did was to bring teachers together from around the country, mostly high school teachers, bring them together with creativity researchers. And we all sat down and we talked about ways that creativity research could better translate into the classroom. And it was a super honest conversation. And that was terrific because it kind of needed to be. We only had a few hours together, but because, for those of you who were there, you remember it didn't take long for the teachers to come out of their shell and really tell it like it is. And there were some amazing insights that came out of that. And one of the things that was really eye-opening to a lot of the researchers anyway, that the teachers had to say was that the people who determine what high school students and middle school students are taught, the people who set the curricula, they probably aren't going to take creativity seriously unless they think it's going to get kids into college. So another way of saying that is if you want schools to teach creativity, an important place to intervene is at the level of college admissions. And so we really took that to heart, and we've developed several kind of elements of action around that. And we've made some progress both on the side of measure development and also on the side of some encouraging interactions and conversations with college admissions committees. So if this is something you think might be of interest, keep an eye out for ways to get involved in this, because this is something that we're enthusiastic about moving forward over the next couple of years. And quickly, a couple other items to note on this front are the creation of a new directorship position within SFNC for equity and inclusivity, and a pretty brand new initiative on diversity in musical creativity, which is led by Indre Viscontis on the executive committee for SFNC. And we're really hoping to grow this in the next couple of years. And actually, related to that last initiative on musical creativity, I want to make sure everyone knows about a super cool event that we have planned for this evening. So this is going to be a fascinating conversation with music producer Ian Brennan about the Zomba prison project. So Ian's work focuses on ways that music and musical creativity can elevate the lives of marginalized people. And this project, which was based in the largest prison in Malawi, is just an unbelievably beautiful example of how that can work. And you really have to see it and especially hear it to believe it. And the first thing that you can do, and you can do this at any time, is to head over to Gather.town and look for the grassy patch. You'll find it. You'll be lost at first, but you'll find it. It'll all make sense. And in front of that grassy patch, you'll be able to watch a video introducing some of the images and some of the Grammy-nominated music from the Zomba prison project. So head over there and check it out. And then after you've watched the video and sort of been introduced to the basics, come back at 6 o'clock, because at 6 o'clock, Ian is going to talk about the project and the music with Indre Viscontis, who is not only on our executive committee at SFNC, but also a neuroscientist and a classically trained professional musician herself. And you can join live and contribute your own thoughts and questions and you can ask Ian anything you want to know about the project. So I really encourage everyone to be there and check it out. And that will actually be right after the social hour that we have planned for 5 o'clock. These are all Eastern US times. 5 o'clock Eastern today, the social hour over in Gather.town. So at 5 o'clock, if you're not already over in Gather.town, head over to Gather.town, hang out, chat with friends, chat with colleagues, have a couple of drinks. That'll have to be a BYOB kind of affair, I guess. And then stay for the conversation with Ian Brennan at 6 o'clock. Okay, so I've said a fair bit about this space that we're in, or at least sort of given you the sense that we're in a space, perhaps. So here's a basic overview. And this is not a substitute for actually reading the instructions and watching the cool video that our support team made. But here we are in Crowdcast. And Crowdcast is the platform that we're using for all the talks and the panel sessions and so forth in the conference. So if you want to just hang out in Crowdcast and go from talk to talk, that is easy enough to do. All you need to do is look for this drop-down menu, which is over here. I think I'm pointing the right way. And that drops down and it'll show you all the sessions in the conference. You can just click directly into any session and you're there, whether you're a speaker or an attendee. So that's a way to navigate just in Crowdcast. Now, if you want to head over to Gather.town, you probably, again, see that button at the bottom of the screen. That will help you right over there. You will get there and probably you will feel a little confused, a little disoriented, and that's okay. That's part of the fun. Embrace it. But explore. Also, read the instructions and check out the very cool instructional video that our help team has made. And you can find portals to the instructions and the instructional video in any room in Gather.town. You can also find a portal to our support team. And a member of the support team will be stationed at the information desk in Gather.town at all times, so you can ask them any questions that you run into. But again, mostly have fun with it, and you can use it as a space to interact with colleagues and friends. You can set times to head over there and meet, kind of like at an in-person conference. Okay, so then when you're in Gather.town and you want to head back to the talks, you can either walk up to this what we're calling the talk space, this purple building here, and press X, and then you will see the program at a glance, and that schedule is clickable. You click right into any conference session you want to join, and you're there. Again, whether you're an attendee or a speaker, that's how you get there. Or right outside of any room in Gather.town, you will find our program at a glance, which you can open up and click directly into any talk session you want to join. So you can get from anywhere in Gather.town right back to the conference. Okay. Oh, wait, I need to be mean about one thing. Right. Okay. So if you're a speaker, if you're a presenter, you need to get to your talk session early, at least 15 minutes early. 20 minutes would be better. You need to be able to practice getting set up in Crowdcast, in this platform, and making sure you're ready to go via Crowdcast. It takes some time. It isn't obvious. And especially if you haven't already practiced with the moderator of your session, but even if you have, you need to show up early. So you can just head to your session. As soon as you're there, the SFNC admin who's in your session will invite you into the green room, and you can practice with them. It's also a chance to get to meet some of the amazing volunteers that are working behind the scenes to make everything happen here. Make sure you're using Chrome, read the speaker instructions, but you still got to show up early. We're kind of counting on people to do that to help things run. Okay, all right. I think that's pretty much it. But before I send you off to the first keynote, I want to make sure to thank, again, everyone who is involved with SFNC for the unbelievable work that went into planning and preparing this year's conference. In particular, I need to thank and really single out the SFNC Organizing Committee and our SFNC digital curators who went way above and beyond to make this conference happen. So a massive thanks again, guys. So welcome again. It's really clear just looking at the list of attendees that the energy around creativity neuroscience is continuing to grow. It's wonderful to have so much of our community together for these 2 days. And we have an unbelievable set of presentations on some really cool research to look forward to. And to get us off to a great start, let's head over to the first keynote by the remarkable Teresa Amabile. And again, you can find the link to that talk up in the drop-down menu. So that's it. Thanks again, and I will see you over there. Bye.